This ashram has been created not for the renunciation of the world, but as a center for the evolution of another kind and form of life, a higher spiritual consciousness.
Sri Aurobindo Ashram, where the devotee gives up every care, every concern and every belonging in search of peace and inner consciousness.
But 30 years after the mother's death, the ashram is mired in controversy and legal wrangles. From allegations of criminal conspiracies to mysterious deaths to charges of corruption. This week in Pondicherry, we track the allegations and counter-allegations that lie beneath this serene divinity.
If you go to the ashram now, to my ashram, they will snatch the flowers from your hand. And people are coming to a spiritual place without flowers. And I see people crying, and in their heart they're crying just because they cannot offer flowers for the love for the mother they have. They cannot express their expression of love.
बाहर किसी को नहीं पता अंदर क्या चलता है, जो झेलेगा, जो रहेगा, और हर किसी में इतनी हिम्मत नहीं है कि अंदर का चीज किसी को बताए. डर, इतना डर.
Community corruption, everything is going on. Rape case, murder case, suicide case, everything is going on.
Shobha Rani lived at the ashram for over 30 years. Inspired by the writings of Sri Aurobindo, she got her entire family to move to the ashram from Orissa.
भगवान के तरफ से हम सेवा पूजा करेंगे, आराधना करेंगे, यही सोच करके हमारा वाइफ वो आया है.
In February 2000, Shobha Rani was found hanging from the fan in her room 43 of the Ambika Bhikshu house in the ashram. In her dying testimony, she wrote 8 names in Uriya saying, "These are the persons responsible for my death." Her friends claim she was harassed and tortured physically and mentally.
Husband was in Orissa. Most of them leave their husbands and come here now. Tortured also.
Once she saw some sexual thing with a young girl. That time Nirmal told her that if you tell to anyone else, you will be thrown out from the ashram.
Nirmal Swain, inmates say, is a prime accused, named in Shobha Rani's suicide note. But after her death, he was made the ashram legal advisor. Shobha's husband Hare Krishna Das, who lodged this FIR with the police, says he and his family have been harassed since the case was registered.
2004 से लेकर के आज तक, और हमको और जो हमारा लड़की जो आश्रम में है, वो दोनों को बड़ी टर्चर करते हैं, हरास करते हैं. तुम्हारा लड़का को बोलो आश्रम के ऊपर में वो केस पुटअप किया है, 8 आदमी का नाम दिया है, उसको विड्रॉ कर लेगा.
The inmates depend on the ashram for survival, food, clothing and housing. Some of the inmates, especially women, allege that this makes them more vulnerable to exploitation. A few of them share their harrowing experience with us. Annapurna had come to the ashram in search of peace. But she says life outside the ashram was more honest.
हमारे गांव में तो चोर चक्के हैं, मगर खुद करते हैं, दूसरों को नहीं कराते हैं. ये क्या अजीब है. अचानक उनका बात नहीं सुनेंगे, वो हमको परेशानी करेंगे, कुछ ना कुछ बहाने से टॉर्चर करेंगे, मेंटली टॉर्चर करेंगे, बॉडीली टॉर्चर करेंगे.
She said she left the ashram after her friend Meenakshi, who worked in the ashram dining hall, was also found dead under mysterious circumstances.
पूरा रियलिटी मुझे मालूम. मुझे बताई, मुझे धमका रहे हैं, हम तुमको मार डालेंगे, हमारा बात नहीं सुनेगी तो. क्यों? हाँ, हम चिट्ठी लिखेंगे, तुमको फांसी के टंगाएंगे.
She alleges Meenakshi's death was never reported to the police. This newsletter, published by the Aurobindo Ashram Inmates Beneficiary Association, an association which the ashram authorities say has no legal standing and is not related to the ashram, also raises serious questions about her case. Kamal Deora says after serving the ashram for over 10 years, he was expelled when he tried to report her death to the police.
I informed to Telegraph newspaper. That's why this management people expelled from me, expelled from ashram.
The ashram management says there was no foul play and accuses the former ashram inmates of maligning them. But Kamal Deora has a different viewpoint.
Court has framed charge against him, 2 cases. But management people not expelled that person. Why?
While Annapurna, Hare Krishna Das, Kamal Deora say they have been mistreated by the ashram, They allege that other inmates such as Nirmal Swain are being protected.
Because of Nirmal, people have committed suicide. The court case is going on still on him.
The others mentioned in Shobha Rani's suicide note were held by the police for just a day in 2004. Rani, Sahu and Runu now head departments in the ashram dining hall. Girish, Binapani Mohandi, Santosh, Prashant and Kanaka continue as members of the ashram. Some inmates allege that the ashram is sheltering many accused of serious crimes. For instance, Ashadeep Podar, convicted by a sessions court in Pondicherry for his role in a murder, is now fighting a case in the Supreme Court. Podar heads the Aurobindo bookstore, a highly privileged job in the ashram. Vasant K. Pati is accused of trying to sell the ashram land using a forged power of attorney, issuing a forged sale deed and a fake receipt. Yet, he enjoys close links with the ashram trustees. This letter from parents of children studying at the ashram school accuses Janardhan and Wilfred Pinto of sexual abuse, but both are still a part of the ashram. No case was registered in this regard. Sunil, an ashram inmate, alleges he was sodomized when he studied at the ashram school.
They're all friends, they don't expose or stop the action. Like I was sexually abused by one man named Mr. Wilfred Pinto. And this went on for a while, and the people I turned to did not support a kid who's looking for help.
Sunil has been here since childhood, growing up at the ashram school.
It's only when you grow up that you realize that what this has been done is wrong, and you have your rights, you have your power.
Why should there be so many deaths in a spiritual place? Why should those giving evidence in court be scared for their lives? And if they are scared, why do they still live in the ashram?
Coming up, some inmates say that the ashram is a divine trap. We get both sides of the story.
जो मजबूरी से यहाँ आएगा उसका फायदा उठाएगा सब.
There is only one way forward. It is a total, complete, unconditioned surrender. In the sense that all what you do, all what you are, is exclusively for the divine.
The Aurobindo ashram was set up in 1926 by Sri Aurobindo and his spiritual collaborator, the Mother. Over the years, thousands of devotees gained from their experience at the ashram. In 1973, the Mother passed away, hoping the ashram would continue to thrive.
The ashram that was meant to set them free has become a virtual prison for many. Some inmates complain that the management of the Sri Aurobindo Ashram Trust has victimized them by taking advantage of their total dependency on the ashram.
In this letter, Hare Krishna Das alleges that ashram authorities had barred him from using the ashram dining hall ever since he lodged an FIR in his wife's suicide case.
हमारा काम भी बंद कर दिया है. उसके बाद कुछ दिन के बाद फिर हमारा खाना भी बंद कर दिया है. और ऐसा तो हमारा जब ट्रीटमेंट ज़रूरत पड़ता है हमको हॉस्पिटल का जो आश्रम का हॉस्पिटल वहाँ ट्रीटमेंट नहीं देते हैं.
The Ashram Udyog Trust runs several commercial units. It also gets donations, 100% tax exemptions and other benefits. Many inmates work at the ashram's industrial units and shops. While the ashram takes care of their basic necessities, no one is paid for the work. The ashram is controlled by 5 trustees who some inmates say wield about absolute control on those living in the ashram.
Everybody is dependent on the trustees, they hold the power. If anybody goes against them, they are in trouble.
Once a trustee, always a trustee. This rule of life trusteeship makes the ashram trustees very powerful. And some ashram inmates allege that this often leads to misuse of the power.
In fact, ashram inmates have no say in the selection of the trustees.
If one the managing trustee died, so the remaining trustees can always take a person without even a consultation with the inmates.
The prosperity book of the ashram runs the lives of the inmates. See the extent of control. Rule 8 says inmates cannot go to the police or media without asking the trustees. This rule is not printed in the latest version of the book, but some inmates say the rule is still followed.
The ashram has total assets worth over 1,000 crores. 2 lawyers, one an inmate and one an outsider, have raised some serious allegations of financial misappropriations and a lack of transparency in the ashram accounts.
The entire ashram is sustaining on the public funds that they are receiving as donations. It's not their earned money.
Ashram authorities say they will show the accounts to a genuine beneficiary. These letters asking to see the accounts were written by Abhay Singh Nahar, a trusted aide of the mother. But his request to see the ashram accounts was turned down. The trustees said his intentions were questionable.
Many inmates asked that when a sadhak like Abhay Singh Nahar could not question the ashram management, how do ordinary inmates ensure that the ashram runs on the ideals of Sri Aurobindo?
This RTI application to access the ashram accounts filed by a few ashram inmates was allowed by the Income Tax Commissioner of Pondicherry. The trustees appealed against this to the Chief Income Tax Commissioner of Chennai, who preferred not to respond. The ashram inmates have now petitioned the Chief Information Commissioner in Delhi to grant them an access to the ashram accounts.
The ashram management says that anybody raising a voice against the ashram has malicious interest. So far on the show, we have gotten you cases of mysterious death and allegations of financial irregularities. After the break, some more serious allegations of sexual abuse and land grabbing.
Ashram has planned in a very pakka manner to grab the property.
This is the house where Sri Aurobindo first stayed when he landed in Pondicherry. Today it is surrounded in controversy. Popularly known as the Raghavan House, it was rented to the ashram by Selvarajan for over 3 decades. But he says he never wanted to sell this house.
Ashram has planned in a very pakka manner to grab the property. And they manipulated everything according to their favor.
The claims of Mr. R.K. Selvarajan and the counterclaims of the ashram management can be settled only by the judiciary. But here are some startling nuggets of information that make this case very controversial.
For instance, these documents suggest that the ashram continued to pay rent even 6 months after the alleged sale of this property was sealed by the sale deed. Made in favour of the managing trustees of the ashram, Manoj Das Gupta, it says that the properties were bought by the ashram for over 1.5 crores. But the owner says he never signed any such deed.
After this purchase of the property, they were paying continuously the rent, just to give a forgery color.
Allegedly, this gift deed was forged by Selvarajan's son. It was a dispute between Selvarajan and his son.
Why did the ashram continue to pay rent even after the house was bought? And why was no case lodged against Selvarajan's son even after Selvarajan filed a criminal complaint?
But former lawyer of the ashram, Raghavachari, who watched the property dispute over the Raghavan house unfold as an insider, made some startling disclosures.
The trustees wanted to acquire properties worth several crores by legal means, by forgery, impersonation and things like that, which I had opposed tooth and nail. And it was that particular issue they are completely scared of, because if this information goes out, they'll land themselves up behind bars. And asked them to acquire the property by legal means. They said, what type of lawyer you are? You are not trying to cooperate us.
The ashram management refutes all charges of wrongdoings and crime in the ashram. They say that these cases have been filed just to create a nuisance. But when 5 sisters, all inmates of the ashram, level grave charges of sexual harassment, whose voice should one listen to?
This investigation recorded audio interviews with 5 sisters who have lodged cases of sexual harassment and abuse in the ashram.
Any body that's got terrific amount of funds, a lot of power, and they are in power in position for 30 odd years. You want things in your favor, you go get used to, you get used to.
Obscene pictures were drawn and thrown in the rooms of my clients. obscene gestures were shown to them, and they were pissing on the door front of my client's room.
अपनी अच्छी भी जो लड़कियां थी ना, सबको अंडर प्रेशर प्रोस्टिट्यूशन के लिए जाना पड़ रहा है, उन लोग अपनी नज़र में काफ़ी मिल रही है.
My client's sister, one of the sisters, was very badly beaten in the dining room, ashram dining room. And this was brought to the notice of the trustee in charge of the dining room, as well as the trustee in charge of the hospital, because she was beaten by iron rods, so there were marks all over her hands.
I was expelled because I wanted to go to the police because she was beaten up.
To prevent her from going to the police, the whole thing was changed, and they accused her that she was pregnant and there was some misconduct on her part.
The trustee's lawyer, Mr. C.S. Narasimhan, he represented in the open court that this girl was 7 months pregnant. So the judge said, before making such a serious allegation, please bring evidence, please bring proof. So they took time, and till date, no evidence has been brought.
The ashram constituted a one-man inquiry which gave a clean chit to all the accused and raised some serious questions on the character and the credibility of the 5 sisters. But we found out that the way the inquiry was conducted also gave rise to some grave questions.
A one-man inquiry in a case of sexual abuse is in violation of a Supreme Court ruling. Why was a credible women's NGO not allowed to represent the alleged victims? The inquiry was in fact challenged in a civil court by the 5 women, after which the ashram was directed to provide them food and shelter. Subsequently, the ashram showcased this set of letters supposedly written by women inmates of the ashram who affirm that they feel safe and there is no instance of sexual harassment in the ashram. But how does this in any way establish that the 5 sisters who have complained of harassment and abuse are lying? Now the Pondicherry government has reopened this inquiry.
Since the allegations are very serious, so one inquiry is also necessary from government side. So that's why government ordered me to do the inquiry. So till now I have not received, only the communication I am receiving, but nobody is ready to come forward for witness.
Some former women inmates like Annapurna, now economically independent, describe the alleged sexual harassment and abuse in the ashram.
उसको गलत काम करने के लिए मजबूर करने का, वो नहीं सुनेगी तो उसको इनडायरेक्टली उसको हैरेस करने का, गाली देने का, मार दिलाने का, वो धमकी देने का.
The allegation that vulnerable women in the ashram are subject to sexual harassment and abuse is affirmed by a former senior CID police officer at Pondicherry.
The ashram, they have got more influence over whatever the government's convention center, whether BJP or Congress. Nobody dare not to touch the ashram. These 2 sisters, they have been supplied to Sinani and Jesusa, 2 IGPs. Other one of our police officers was the
To Sri Aurobindo, the ashram was the house of the teacher to accommodate those who came to him for learning. Mother too wanted the ashram to create a world which devoted itself to a new consciousness.
Sri Aurobindo Ashram, a source of inspiration and peace for thousands of followers who are unaware of the serious and grave allegations that have been made against the ashram management. Perhaps an independent inquiry set up by the government will enable us to find out the truth. With Neeti Tandon, this is Kavita Sharma. Thanks for joining us.